Well, hey, everybody, and welcome back to the One More Thought podcast, a podcast here at Church on the Rock where we take our message on Sunday and we dive a little bit deeper into it. As always, thank you for being a part of this. Like and share and subscribe and all the things. My name is Heath Watts, and I get the honor and privilege to be the lead pastor here at Church on the Rock. And we are in a brand new series. We're in a series that I would say is probably one of the most beneficial things in your life, but also one of the most misunderstood things in our lives. And so I'm joined today by our founding pastor, Pastor Jackie White, as we talk about our series on generosity, what the Word of God says about generosity, what the principles are, and really our heart for this sermon series, from my heart for this sermon series, has been to really help people see the benefit of in their life. It's not about getting the church to get more money. It's not about getting us to a new place. It's about opening their eyes to everything that God says about generosity. And so, Pastor Jackie, thanks for being on here.
You bet.
How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm excited about this topic, too, because I think it's one of the most misunderstood topics that the church has to deal with today. So
and it feels like we live in a time and a season. I think one of the biggest barriers to generosity is just simply fear. I think we live in a time, I think we have a government, whether it was the past government or the former government, where there's just so much fear in our world that people are, whenever we have fear, we tend to hold on to things like this. And so you've used a term for very many years. As long as I've known you use this term, and I want you to explain it to people today a little bit. You've used the word God's economy. God's economy. Explain to us what you mean when you say God's economy.
Well, if we believe in God and we believe that God is supernatural, then that means everything He touches in our life will have a supernatural touch to it. He can touch our bodies physically and heal us. That's supernatural. He can take a touch of our minds when we're dealing with depression and heal us. That's supernatural. It's also God's ability to touch our financial life. And it makes it supernatural as well. The things that the Bible teaches, the things that Jesus taught, sometimes will not make total sense to the logical mind. God says, you give 10%, you be a tither, and I will bless the 90%, where it goes much further than 100% if it's not being blessed. That doesn't make sense logically, but it's a supernatural principle of God.
I love that. That's really good. One of the things that we're saying all through this series is tithing is a great starting point for generosity. And there's a lot of mixed emotion. Man, you have people that say, tithing is Old Testament. I want to be a New Testament giver. Well, in the New Testament, it says that everybody sold everything that they had to help out the poor. So that's an extreme. Would you just give just some kind of just simple thoughts about tithing? Because I think right now our world is trying to push it out. They're trying to say it's not about tithing, it's about generosity. But I think tithing is actually a part of generosity. What are your thoughts on it?
I agree totally. Now, here's a big problem we're facing today. And the Bible says that if we're going to be people who live in wisdom, we will understand our seasons and the times that we live in. Well, we're living in a different time than we were even 10 years ago. I think COVID unleashed a lot of things that the devil is still using today. Coming out of COVID, there's three things I see in people's lives. Number one, there's a fear. You mentioned it. Fear. They're fearful about their jobs. They're fearful about their families, and especially about their money. Fear is the first thing. The second thing is a desire to have what they don't have. It's a covetousness. It's something that says, I want what you have. Even though we may not really need it, it's kind of this desire to have more than we have. We're always coveting more. And then the third thing that COVID did, I believe it unleashed a spirit of entitlement. Where people were receiving money from the government for doing nothing, and that kind of got into our system. And now we're seeing people really struggle with that fear,
Yeah.
coveting what other people have, and then feeling entitled and feeling like God's not blessing them because he's not giving them all the things they want.
Yeah.
And it's just leading us into a deeper and deeper hole for a lot of people of indebtedness
Yeah.
and a poverty spirit,
Yeah.
where they feel like they'll never get out.
Yeah. I think that's so wise. You know, I heard a story about a missionary from Africa, and his nation had been in revival. They
Yeah.
had been in revival. Amazing things have been happening. Healings have been happening. Just supernatural things happening one after the other. And he came over to the United States to visit some American churches. And one of the pastors said, "Hey, what do you think it is that is keeping us from that type of revival in America?" And his answer was storage buildings. And he said, "Storage buildings? What do you mean?" He said Americans are so focused and believe that the next possession
Right.
is going to give them what they need. The next possession is going to make them feel a certain way. The next possession. But he said all of that stuff brings temporary fixes to eternal problems.
Yeah.
And I think he's so right. I know I've been guilty of it so many times, wanting the next big greatest thing, wanting the thing that my friend has, wanting the house that my friend has, wanting the car that my friend has. And I think it's really, I think when you live in that place of coveting, which is you want what other people have, I think it is a key indicator that you're living in a poverty mindset. And you've said it before, you can have all the money in the world. You can be the richest of the rich and live in a poverty mindset. Another word that I've heard used before is the pauper mentality, that you have the mentality of a pauper, and there's an explanation behind that. Talk to us about what it means in your words to live in a poverty mindset.
Yeah. Well, and you asked me to say something about the tithe earlier, and I just went to where my mind was going.
Yeah.
But part of that, part of the deliverance from that pauper mentality, that poverty mentality, is the tithe.
Yeah.
The tithe is God's brilliant solution for all of these problems: fear, covetousness, this feeling entitled to stuff.
Yeah.
Because he set up a system that is equal to all men.
Yeah.
He says the tithe is 10%. Well, 10%, if you're a millionaire, 10% is a lot. If you only have $100 in the bank, 10% is only $10.
Yeah.
But it's equal to all people.
Yeah.
And it's something that brings that supernatural power of God into effect in our life. When we give the tithe, what we're saying when we bring the tithe, we're saying, Lord, this is just representing the fact that I believe that you have blessed me so much that everything I have belongs to you.
Yeah.
And we literally transfer ownership of everything we have over to the Lord.
Yeah.
That deals with our fears. I thought of this just the other day. My wife's car had some hail damage. We'd had it in the shop for almost a month. Finally got it back. Had been driving it less than a week, driving down the road, and a rock flies up, and we get a huge break in the windshield. And I'm thinking, oh no, how in the world can this happen? And immediately I thought, God gave me this thought, said, hey, I thought you gave everything to me.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. And all of a sudden, I wasn't worried about it.
Yeah.
We're still driving it with the crack in the windshield. I don't know when we'll get it fixed. We'll have to get it fixed eventually.
Yeah.
But why live in fear
Yeah.
over those little things? But that's what happens with a poverty mindset.
Yeah.
We think, oh no, we don't have the money to cover that.
Yeah.
And the tithe sets us free from that.
Yeah.
We simply bring that 10% to the Lord, and we say, hey, this is a symbol that we're partnering with you. Everything we have belongs to
Yeah.
you. We're going to give you 10%. You're going to bless the 90%.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think one of the things that I believe is the greatest barrier to generosity, and it is wrapped in the fear that you're talking about, but it's not in my mind, it's not what I've seen in people, what I've seen in myself is it's not a fear of not having the things that we need to make it. It's a fear of not being able to keep up with the lifestyle that we're in. It's an insecurity. I heard somebody say one time that insecurity is security in the wrong things. And I know you know this because we've both experienced this. How many people have left, and we're seeing it more and more, what God has called them to, what God has purposed them for, out of this fear of not having the resources they need to meet a certain lifestyle of their friends that honestly, if that's what your friendship is based on, that's not a good friendship.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on just the insecurity? What is driving this fear?
Well, number one, Satan's a liar.
Yeah.
And Satan's system that operates through this world, through the worldly system that we live under, it's constantly lying to us.
Yeah.
Telling us, hey, if you don't have this, then you're missing out. If you don't have this, then you're not living the life that you should be living.
Yeah.
And it's a constant lie. People who have had a tremendous amount of money, and they come to the place where they realize that money's not really making them happy. They come to the realization that happiness is not based on what you have, but it's based on what you're able to release to others.
Yeah.
I heard John Maxwell say at the global leadership deal, he talked about legacy. He said, legacy is not what we leave for our family, but it's what we leave in our family.
Yeah,
it's what we put into them. Money can't buy that. Yeah. And that's the lie of the devil.
Yeah.
He tries to get us to focus on the money.
Yeah. And so, I think that's really good. And part of this generosity sermon series is we're also we're going to be introducing our financial freedom track in January. Because my heart is, man, if you're listening this today and you're going, man, I understand Pastor Heath, I understand Pastor Jackie, but it is just so hard. What I've been really praying to God about is what are the tools that we need to give to people for them to be set free from this pauper mentality, from this poor mentality, from this poverty mentality, because it's not. And you're saying it in your responses. Those mindsets are not indicators of how much money you have or don't have. One of the stories you used in your sermon was about the widow who made the cake for Elijah.
You're right.
Talk to us about that story for just a minute.
That story gives us a lot of principles about how God blesses us and provides for us. First of all, Elijah, we look at his life. God had already provided for him once by telling him, go live by the brook Kidrith.
Yeah.
And he was providing. The brook continued to flow even when there was a famine, a drought in the land. Then when the brook dried up, God provided it for him a second time. He said, go to Zarephath. You're going to find this widow. The principle is this. There is a place called obedience. And in the place of obedience, there will always be provision.
Yeah.
When we obey God, there will always be provision. Now, the second illustration we have is with the widow.
Yeah.
It says that she was gathering sticks to make a fire and make the last supper for her and her son. She had just a little bit of meal, a little bit of oil. She was going to make a little cake, and it was going to all be eaten up by them, and that was all they had left. But Elijah comes and he makes a demand upon her faith. Think about that wording. As pastors, sometimes we're fearful about challenging our people. But one of the things we need to do is make a demand upon their faith. That's what Elijah did for the widow. He said, why don't you make me a little cake first?
Yeah.
And she, out of her generous spirit, and out of her spirit of obedience, she did that. And when she did, all of a sudden the supernatural came into place.
Yeah.
That's how God works. He says, hey, just obey me.
Yeah.
Just obey me and see how the supernatural will begin to work in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, and that goes back to that principle of we are so logically minded that we miss the supernatural in our lives, because many times faith, especially in our money, faith in general, there's so many people have gotten so good at saying all the right things about, maybe not all the right things, but all the quick-witted things about why the church preaches on money, why the church talks about money. Jesus actually, I don't remember the exact stats, but I want to say over 75% of the parables that he taught talked about money.
Right.
It was a principle of sowing and reaping, or giving or holding on to. And that's what I want to see for our people. That's what I want to see for the people of Church on the Rock, is financial breakthrough through the supernatural power of God. But it doesn't happen without obedience. It doesn't happen without faith. It doesn't happen without believing that these principles are true. And so I'm excited about it. I think it is time for the church to start talking about this. I know that you believe the same thing. I know that you've preached on it for many, many years, not for the church, but for the people of the church. And so as we wrap up today, if you could just give, maybe somebody's watching, in my mind, I'm going, man, we do a podcast on generosity. Most people are probably gone by now because we just don't like talking about it. But I would say, what is something you would just encourage to someone right now who really is, they're stuck in that fear. Like they're like, man, I hear what you guys are saying. It makes sense to me, but I am paralyzed by this fear. What's some encouragement that you would give them?
Let me give a testimony.
Yeah.
Testimonies are our words that declare the power of the work of God in our life.
Yeah.
There was a period of time when raising a family, a wife and 3 children, and things were tight. God had blessed us, but things were still pretty tight. And I'll never forget when Paige, my oldest daughter, went off to college. She decided to go to ORU, which is a private Christian school, and it comes at a price. And she got some great scholarships, but it was still going to require that I paid about $1,000 a month, which back in those days, $1,000, that was like in the early 90s. $1,000 a month, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we didn't have it.
Yeah.
And so I literally made a plan. The first thing I did is I said, God, I give you everything I have.
Yeah.
Show me how to make this work. The second thing I did is I went for counsel. I found people that were older and wiser than me, and I asked them for help.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they told me, we'd built a new house.
Yeah.
We'd lived in that house about 4 years. They said, you need to downsize.
Yeah.
Man, I thought, well, Linda's not going to go for that. She loves this new house. But we made the decision. We're going to sell the house. We're going to downsize.
Yeah.
Then the second part of their advice was, any debt that you have, begin to attack it.
Yeah.
Go after it. And we literally sat down, made our budget, began to attack the debt. And nobody likes to hear this.
Yeah.
They say, hey, I want to just pay a tithe one time and God pull me out of all my trouble.
Yeah.
No, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
We were already tithers.
Yeah.
We continued to tithe. In fact, that was kind of when I started being very diligent to pay the tithe the very first thing as soon as I got paid.
Yeah.
But I started attacking that debt. And I started asking God to give me faith. And you know what? I can look back and some people say, well, how'd you pull an extra $1,000 out of the air every month? How did you pay for her to go to school? How come you didn't just tell her to go take student loans?
Yeah.
God said, hey, there's a better way.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm a supernatural God.
Yeah.
And so that's what I encourage people to do. Get a plan.
Yeah.
And attack that plan. Attack that debt.
Yeah.
Trust God.
Yeah.
Another thing is that at that point in my life, I started seeing God's favor in so many little ways.
Yeah.
Things that we needed, we'd simply pray for it before we go buy it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the old thing would start working again.
Yeah.
Or someone would give us something that we needed.
Yeah.
Now, you say, well, that's a poverty spirit, thinking people are going to give you stuff. No. That's just the way God's economy works.
Yeah. God does his best work through people.
He does.
I'm a firm believer in that. And so, I think that's great advice, especially in this sermon series, because if you're watching today, I want you to know that not only are we preaching about generosity, not only are we talking about generosity, but we are going to give you the tools to try to be set free in the area of your finances. And so I would encourage you, as you're listening to this, starting in January, we're going to be launching our financial freedom track, and it's going to be full of these tools, how to live on a budget, What does it look like to attack debt? What does it look like to go after things that you never thought possible? And I am just telling you, if you will have faith, if you will live open-handed, if you will have a mindset of blessing rather than a mindset of poverty, God will bring his supernatural power to the area of your finances. And so, man, Pastor Jackie, thank you for this wisdom. We're so thankful for it. Thank you guys for listening. And as always, tune in next week as we continue to talk on the One More Thought podcast. Love you guys. Have a great week.